Skye, and this is my coral reef project. So, big threats to coral reefs are diseases, storms, predators, pollution, and overfishing. For diseases, we have black band disease, which is a disease that looks like a black band spreading over the coral and killing it. And this is what it looks like. So, here's the dead coral, and here's the live coral, and then the band in between is the disease. So causes of this disease are sedimentation, pollution, high water temperatures, and effects of this disease are death of entire colonies of coral. It impacts organisms that depend on the coral, and it makes coral vulnerable to other diseases. White band disease is basically the same as black band disease, except it creates a white band instead of a black band. This is a picture of a piece of coral that has white band disease. So here's the dead coral, and here's the live coral, and this is the white band that it creates. Causes of this disease is a type of bacteria called Vibrio bacteria, and effects of this disease is death because often if coral has this disease, it does not survive. Then coral bleaching is when coral becomes stressed and it releases the algae that sits on top of it, and then after this is a healthy piece of coral, and then after the algae is released, it appears white, and it can affect entire groups of coral. Causes of coral bleaching are runoff, air pollution, increase in water temperature, and air exposure. And effects of coral bleaching are it makes the coral vulnerable to other diseases, it stunts its growth, and it impacts other organisms. Storms are also something that affects coral reefs because the winds can create strong waves that can break um, delicate types of coral like staghorn and elkhorn. And predators are a big threat to coral reefs because, um, they're predators and then it can kill the coral. So this includes sea stars, crabs, snails, barnacles, and some fish. And the crown of thorn starfish is one of the coral's main predators, and they are rising in numbers because the giant triton is suffering from overfishing. This is a picture of the crown of thorns starfish. Then we have pollution, and um, types of pollution that can harm coral reefs are air pollution, plastic, runoff, and many other types. Air pollution can cause the temperature of the water to rise, which can lead to stress. And I thought that it was interesting to that plastic can cut the coral and leave them vulnerable to different types of diseases. Then we have overfishing, and overfishing is a big threat because it can lead to less coral. For example, the giant triton is being captured because their shells are valuable, and overfishing of the giant triton can lead to the growing population of the crown of thorn starfish, which is one of the coral's main predators. The loss of coral reefs would have a huge impact on humans because many jobs include coral reefs, like tourism and different types of entertainment. Um, Fishermen also use this as a job, and it is a food source for us. And some places actually use coral reefs as a natural wall to protect against storms and strong waves. Different types of interactions between the plants and animals that live in coral reefs are mutualism, commensalism, and parasitism. Mutualism is when there's two different species and they are both benefited. So the clownfish and the sea anemone work together um, and and have a mutual relationship because the clownfish is immune to the sea anemone. So the sea anemone protects the clownfish, and in turn, the clownfish protects the sea anemone from things that try to eat it. Commensalism is an interaction where one species is benefited and the other is not impacted. So, an example of this would be remora and sharks, because the remora stick onto the sharks, and when the shark makes a kill, then the remora get a free meal, and the sharks are not harmed by this. Parasitism is a type of interaction between two species where one is benefited and the other is impacted negatively. So, an example of this is an isopod and any type of fish. And the isopod is a parasite because it actually eats the fish's tongue and then acts as its tongue and gets free food. Um, and then the fish is impacting negatively because it no longer has a tongue. So, important parts of coral reefs are apex predators because they help spread the different types of fish and organisms around. And this is important because if they gather in one place, then they will eat too much of seaweed or algae, and then the places that don't have enough, the seaweed and algae will overgrow, and then it can cover healthy corals and kill them. Another important part of coral reefs is the temperature, because just like on land, some organisms can't live in too much heat or too much cold, and they can cause stress on different types of organisms. That is my project, and yep, that's it.